Well, hello. Welcome back to Kari Moody. Thank you so much for joining me. I actually had planned on doing a live anyway and had worked on it um, last night throughout this morning and have a lot of new details, new information to bring to you guys. And it would just be a lot easier to do it in a live rather than trying to record a video. And then I saw that the family was going to go live at 1 o'clock. So it worked out. Hi, Peacock. How are you doing? Hi, Rap Track. Thank you guys so much for being here. So the family is there gathered. This is right about the same area that Riley went missing from. And they are supposed to, I guess, maybe just give some kind of updates, talk about the search, the volunteers. And then, depending on what they have to say, I don't know what they're going to say. Um, then, uh, then I have quite a bit in store for you guys. Hi, Shauna. Hi, Twisted Taurus. Thank you so much for being here. It is a heartbreaking story. So that's Riley's mom and his stepdad, and they should be getting started here any minute. There is sound. I just have it muted on that end right now. Good afternoon, Ella Blue. Thank you for being here. While we're waiting, I know there's a ton of theories floating around. What are your theories? Yeah, it so easily can happen, and not just to a 22-year-old either. If any of you have been in Nashville, my friends and I, a couple years back, we're a little older. So we had more fun sitting on the balcony of our hotel room and just watching people. It was pretty unbelievable. It was unbelievable. They rent those little scooters and stuff around, and you just know somebody's going to biff it at any moment. They're going to get hit by a car. It's pretty scary. Hi, catering winch. All right, looks like they're going to start. I'm going to mute myself, and let's see if they have some sound yet.
I don't.
Not quite.
Anybody here know how to do? I'm sure you do a live Facebook feed.
They do look a little distraught, but I'm sure it's what today is really day 11. I guess 10th full day. Well, I can't imagine what they're going through. I have my youngest son is actually just turned 22. I can't imagine having to go through any of this.
Y'all ready now? All right.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do you mind if I help her get Steve's?
No, go right ahead. Fine. I prefer that actually.
Let me.
All right, I'm going to mute myself and we'll take a listen to what the stepdad and his mom have to say. They look pretty shooken up. So, oh. They have me on edge for sure. Sarah Jean, you have a bad feeling. Yeah.
Okay, everybody ready now?
Yes, sir.
All right. Go ahead.
Good afternoon. I want to thank everyone for coming out today. With everything that's gone on in the past few days, we've been reached out to and we've spoken with Dave with the United Cajun Navy. We feel that we need the extra resources to come in and help us as we try to get more organized for our family and see if we can't bring some more clues to light. We're very grateful for everyone that's done everything so far. We ask that you continue. We ask that you work and help with us to become more organized, because we don't want individuals out there alone without us knowing, so that we want to make sure everybody's careful. Safety is the number one priority. We appreciate more than you'll ever know the outpouring that we've received from the community, from the press, and everyone else involved. Our goal is still to bring Riley home. We feel that is still a very pliable goal. We feel like Dave and his team and the volunteers that he knows are very skilled and will help bring this for us. This time, I'm going to turn it over to Dave and let him kind of bring some information to light. If we have questions at the end, we'll be more than happy to address, but I do ask that we have a little bit of courtesy for what we're going through right now, and give us just, a few questions, and we'll again meet as we have more information. Okay. Thank you, Dave.
My name is David Flagg. For those who don't have the spelling, last name is F like Foxtrot, L-A-G-G. And I am the National Director of Operations for the United Cajun Navy. Those of you who may not know, people who are in the audience that may not know, we are a disaster response organization. We respond to natural disasters, all over the country. We're formed during Hurricane Katrina, when New Orleans was flooded so badly. We had just a bunch of good old boys that had boats and took it upon themselves to go out into the waters of New Orleans and start rescuing people, taking them supplies, et cetera, et cetera. Fast forward to today, our organization has been to almost every major natural disaster in this country, to include Hurricane Michael, Hurricane Ian, the Texas wildfires. We have people there now. The fires in Maui. So that's kind of an brief overview of what we do. We also obviously get involved in missing persons cases. We do search and rescue, and a focus on providing supplies of whatever nature the people might need them: food, clothing, etc. I was to touch on the reason that we're here today. We were contacted by Riley's family and asked to step up and provide some more resources to this search activity. And we have been pretty much involved from the very first day that we heard about it, which I believe was on Monday, would have been the 10th, 11th, whatever day that was. We've had an airboat here on the river. We've had people involved behind the scenes and following this and understanding what's been happening here with regard to the search efforts of individuals. We felt that it was probably a real good idea for us to step in and organize a structured and organized search activity for this. We also have, today we have a hovercraft coming in and a pilot to run that craft. If he gets here early enough, we will be on the river today. And if not, we'll start early tomorrow morning and spend a good bit of time on the river here, assisting in that search. We had an airboat here, and that individual will be returning, I believe, Friday, possibly Saturday. I would reiterate what Riley's father said. Our main focus, obviously, is to find Riley. Our secondary focus is to ensure the safety of the people who are out here searching. If we have folks just out on their own on these very steep and treacherous terrain on the riverbank and other treacherous aspects of this search, we don't know. we don't know what's going on with you. It's not safe. It's real dangerous. So I would encourage any volunteers who have been here and are searching to please come under the umbrella of the United Cajun Navy search. We will be putting together a structured and organized ground search at some point in the near future. I don't have the specific information on that yet, but I will make that information known once I have it. If you do intend to come out and search with us or to continue to search on your own, there are some safety aspects that you need to know. Number one, you need to be wearing some sturdy shoes. You need to have some heavy gloves on and some nitrile or rubber gloves as well. There's a lot of garbage and debris and needles and bodily fluids of one kind or another that are on these riverbanks that you really don't want to be exposed to. So that's what I would ask of you, just for your own safety. And I would also reiterate what Riley's father said. If you all do have questions for the family, please be very, very sensitive about the nature of this incident. As you can imagine, those of you who have children or don't have children, I guess the best advice I could give would be, don't ask a question of the family that you would not want to be asked yourself. That's pretty much all I have to say. If there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Evan Labor with News Nation. Just one thing that I wonder for you and for the family, the police have been steadfast for at least several days in saying that they don't suspect any foul play. Have you seen the evidence to that? Do you believe it?
At this point, there is no evidence that I'm aware of that would indicate foul play. Y'all know how it goes on Facebook and social media. There's been a lot of chatter on there about the fact that Riley's debit card was found on the riverbank, and that is prima facie evidence of criminal activity, something of that nature there. I don't agree with that. Obviously, I'm not the investigator. We have a couple of representatives from MMPD here, and I'm sure they have something to say about it. But I would very seriously, at this point, doubt that there's been any criminal activity.
Brendan Tierney with WSMB4. First, Michelle, you guys are obviously asking for more people to come in and help at this point. Are you satisfied with the job Metro Police have done, and what are you hoping that this additional volunteer effort will do to help you?
Yes, we feel like they've handled it well. We know that it is an excessive amount of information coming into them that they're having to dissect. It's hard as a parent, as we are now 10, 11, 12 days into this, and we're trying to, find Riley, come up with, an outcome here. And so, yes, as the days drag on, we are frustrated. We know they're doing their job. We've seen what they've got,
We know they're doing things that we haven't been informed about. That's probably with any investigation like this. There's details that they're not going to share with us that we're sure they're working on too. We don't know what all for sure exactly what they've done as far as searches goes. We don't know some of the information, but that's not to say they haven't done it.
Exactly. And, Dave is kind of an extra resource for us, a point of contact with his foundation, his group, to be able to help us so that we can focus and make sure that we're doing everything as best as possible. It's been hard being from out of town, being from 6.5 hours away, to put a structured program together when you don't know everywhere that you're at. You don't know the lay of the land as well. You don't have your family and your resources that are in your hometown to be able to help guide you and lean on to build a organized search. And that has bothered us, and Dave is our answer.
Kind of rewinding a little bit, I know that y'all saw the bar footage for the first time potentially. Is there anything significant there that you feel comfortable sharing at this time?
The only thing really that we have seen with our own eyes is in the bar footage would be Riley and his friend going down the stairs just before he exited the bar. His friend turns around and goes back up the stairs. We're not focusing on a lot of the stuff that happened earlier. We're still pushing forward, and we're trying to figure out where he's at now.
What do you anticipate police will release data from
I am not able to comment on that at this point. I know that they're still digging through information, so hopefully they'll be able to provide information here, as we move forward.
We spoke with Chris. Mentioned there was a text exchange with Riley and is. Are you able to expand on that?
We know that Riley was possibly texting and communicating with multiple people. Again, we don't know the exact people. We don't know the exact timeline, or who the last person was.
Anything right now would kind of be speculation on our part to exactly what that was.
No need to muddy the water. So I'm sure the detectives, as information becomes available that is pertinent like that, they will provide to us, and we will share as we can.
And again, we have a couple representatives from the police department here, and that may be a question that you could ask them. Before they come up, there's just, anybody else have questions for the family before I interrupt?
I do. Michelle, the last time you and I spoke, you told me he was here with 50 business fraternity brothers. Not one of them left the bar to go with him. I know you were close now with some of his friends as well. What have those conversations been like since?
With the boys. They're heartbroken also. He's their best friend. And we love these boys like our own. And it's just as hard on them as it is on us.
And right now, we really are focusing on
bringing Riley home.
his last point.
He's my best friend. He's everything.
Is that it?
I have a question. Can you tell me how many people are a part of your group who are actually searching, and are there different times that you're searching?
So we are an all volunteer organization. So people who work with us, volunteer with us, have jobs, have families. And so there's at any given time, that number is going to fluctuate. Sometimes it might be 2 people and sometimes it might be 200 people. At this point, I am the only boots on the ground for the United Cajun Navy, and that is going to change here very shortly. We're going to get as many people who are associated with our organization involved in this search. The ground search is what I'm referring to. We have a couple representatives from MMPD who'd like to speak with you, but before they do, there's one thing I do want to say. And if I hurt somebody's feelings out there, oh well. I'm a retired Pennsylvania State Trooper. There has been a lot of chatter on social media about the police are or are not handling this investigation properly. They should have done this. They should have done that. If you're not a trained police officer, your speculation is just that, just speculation. I've been in constant contact with Detective Chandler, and I know that they have been making every effort that they can to bring this investigation, this search to a close. So please, you folks out there on social media, think real hard about what you're going to post before you post it. And that goes as well for posts about the family and about this investigation. The family doesn't really need to see posts on social media that say, well, maybe there's a serial killer out there and that's where he chunked him in the water. That's not cool. Anybody got a question for me? Yes, ma'am. Give me the first part of that again. I missed it. Yes, ma'am. Well, like I said, we have 2 boats coming, and that's going to be obviously our water search. This terrain presents a very, very difficult challenge for a ground search. I'm sure y'all have seen on TV that, when there's a field or a wooded area that you have a line of people 2-3 feet apart, everybody just walking through. This is not going to be that. Also, the terrain is going to be very difficult to use any sort of tracking dog. Again, just because it's going to be very difficult to walk. So my goal, and part of the reason that I came down here early today, is so I could get my eyes on the terrain. I hadn't seen it yet, and formulate a plan for that. The plan right now is very loose and informal. We want all the volunteers to meet up with me before we go out. And probably about the only way that really and effectively be able to do this is put people in 2s and 3s, potentially 4s. We are working on getting some supplies, ropes, etc., that are going to enable these people to safely traverse this terrain. If there is anybody out there who would like to contribute to that effort, please feel free to go on our website, thank you, which is unitedcajunnavy.org. And there's a donate button. You can feel free to donate there. But that's my next step, is to get the supplies and the equipment that's needed to be able to conduct this search safely. And that's, as far as the plan goes, that's all we have right now. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am. Okay. Yeah. Yes and yes to your questions. At this point, we're going to focus on the riverbank area and the water, because that appears to be the last place where Riley was seen. We have the last video footage that we have of him, I believe, is from this camera. Is that right? From this camera on this building here, and the video footage from surveillance cameras all around the area do not indicate that he ever came up this way or up the steps by the courthouse or anything of that nature there. The last video is of him going underneath this bridge right here, and that's pretty much it. Now, that doesn't mean that we won't do some canvassing of the homeless encampments and the downtown area where there may be other homeless people, simply to see if we can pull out any other information. Speaking of which, if there is anybody out there that has any information about this, please step forward and get in touch with me. You can reach out to me on our Facebook page, which is simply United Cajun Navy on Facebook. If you are scared or concerned about the nature of your information, come and get hold of me anyway. All right. Our main goal here is to bring Riley home.
Is there like an email that potential volunteers for this help, or should they just contact message you on Facebook? Or?
Yes, you can message us on Facebook, and our email address is info@unitedcajunnavy.org, and that's United Cajun is CAJUNNAVY, UnitedCajunNavy.org. Anybody else? Gentlemen?
I'm Detective Anthony Chandler. This is Sergeant Bob Nilsson. We're with the Homicide Cold Case Unit from Metro Nashville Police, and we've been heading up the investigation into Riley's disappearance. As Mr. Flagg said, we've been in contact with him since the very beginning, coordinating what we could as far as with the family's active participation in locating Riley. That has been, and to this day remains, the top priority. There has not been any evidence that has come forward to change this to an ongoing criminal investigation at this time. Regardless of what else has been put out there, there are several leads that we are following up with on a constant basis, and an influx of information that is coming forward at all times. We are going through every single piece of that information, but the priority remains locating Riley.
As he said, I'm Sergeant Nielsen. I gave a briefing to our chain of command all the way up to the Chief Drake yesterday. They're well aware of where we are with the investigation at this point, as well as the resources. We do have our boat going back in the water this afternoon, along with members of the Urban Search and Rescue team that will be combing the area, researching the area. It's been mentioned already today, and it's also been asked things like why was that card found and why didn't we find it? As Mr. Flagg pointed out, there's a lot of variables in these investigations, and if you've not been skilled or trained or experienced in these investigations, you don't understand a lot of these things. As Don Aaron put out the other day, when we start a missing person investigation, we're looking for a person, we're looking for a body. We're not looking for small pieces of evidence. Can we miss some things? Sure. But our primary goal is to find Mr. Strain and bring him home safely. Think of it like a large crime scene. A lot of times you have to deal with the victims first before you can go back and start looking for those precise pieces of evidence. Okay, that's kind of our focus here. We're looking for Mr. Strain, then we go back and look again. And because these two ladies over here were kind enough to volunteer their time and helped us by finding that, now we can do a more refined search with our urban search and rescue, which is what they're going to be doing this afternoon. And as Mr. Flagg said, with a lot of the volunteers, if you're coming down to volunteer, understand it is very treacherous terrain. That's why we're using urban search and rescue and not just anyone on the street, because our people are trained, they're equipped, they have everything that they need to conduct these searches. You won't even see a patrol officer go to some of these areas that are more treacherous. Why? Because they don't have the rappelling equipment and things of that nature. So we're utilizing all the resources we can. We've also going to be reaching out to Office of Emergency Management. They've been helping us quite a bit. Over the weekend, they've been back out with a boat, divers, cadaver dogs. They run sonar. Our boat has sonar. It's the same stuff. People have asked about TBI. It's the same resources they have. So there's not been a need for us to get additional assistance from these other agencies. However, like Mr. Flagg, Cajun Navy, they have that experience. They want to volunteer their time. They've been very gracious in talking with us, saying they're going to help us out. Not a problem at all. But again, if you have a structured organization like United Cajun Navy, you have the safety protocols in place. You have the equipment and the resources to utilize to conduct that search, as well as to make certain everybody's safe doing that. We're going to continue to search. We're still filtering all the Crime Stoppers tips, as Detective Chandler said. I cannot stress enough the volume of information we've gotten. We've had people get frustrated with us because they'll call us, say, on a Monday, and they don't know why we haven't got back to them on Monday. And I've had to explain to them, we have to weigh every piece of evidence we get, or information rather, evenly. We can't just jump to the top, because quite honestly, there's a lot of tips that we're getting that are not tips. They mean well, but they're not tips. So we have to prioritize what's actually providing information. And some of the other things I have my detectives doing today is re-canvassing the area for video. And while we don't think Riley may have been in any of these homeless camps away from this area, those are areas that we're going to be working on this afternoon ourselves. In regards to, we've had questions about some of the behind the scenes things we're doing, search warrants, that kind of thing. Please understand it's an open investigation. We cannot share that information with the public because it's an open investigation. It can, if it were to turn into a criminal investigation, well, obviously now we're negatively impacting that situation. So please understand, if you call us and you're asking us questions, there may be some things we cannot answer, and it's to maintain the integrity of the investigation, as well as any potential evidence should there be a criminal component to it. I would also ask, as Mr. Flagg and everybody has, if you have questions for the family, you want to help the family, that's great. But please also respect their privacy. These kinds of incidents that happen, sometimes people with the best of intentions don't know the best way to approach people, and it can cause more stress for the family. So please be mindful of that.
One of the other things I wanted to make sure everybody understood, all the businesses and everybody we have asked for assistance as far as video or any other information, we have had absolute cooperation from everybody involved. There has never been a time to where anyone has had any issue in giving us any other information. To go along with what Mr. Flagg said, I know earlier I said this is not a criminal investigation at this time. Should we uncover something that would change that, it's important that we go through one centralized source to where we know we can then change the manner in which we're searching and can start to conduct that in the proper manner. So if you do want to volunteer, we welcome all eyes to come help try to find Riley. But if we stumble across something to where we need to change the direction of the investigation, it is important that it's through one coordinated source and they're able to get the information back to us so we can adjust accordingly.
I think the only thing I would like to add before we open up to questions is, one of the concerns people have called in multiple times about is that he was, Riley was being chased, he was being followed. We have seen no evidence of that. We've been through the video multiple times, and that is the reason why we released that body camera footage, because that officer had an interaction with him, and we've talked to other people that have indicated to us there was no injuries on Mr. Strain when they observed him, and there was no indication that he was running from anything or he was in fear. There's been a lot of misconceptions, a lot of misinformation out there, and we're putting out everything we can to dispel all of those misconceptions. We're happy to answer those questions, but again, people are taking what has already been put out, what the media's put out, and then putting their spin on it, calling back with Crime Stoppers tips that are not actually tips. They're their theory on what happened. We love people calling in and helping us, but we need actionable leads that we can follow up on. So please understand too, when you don't see us, like my detectives out in the field constantly, it's because we're trying to prioritize those tips that we're getting to find what's actually useful information that we can follow up on. Because sometimes we get tips that we can't follow up on. It's just a statement somebody's making. So with that, you have a question, ma'am?
Yes, sir. So the credit card being discovered separated from wherever Riley is and potentially separated from his wallet. Some would say that could potentially go either way. Sure, maybe it just fell out and he didn't even realize, or maybe it was forcefully removed. So how do you decide which it is and which side to lean on, whether missing person versus criminal? Because a lot of folks would say, well, that could certainly indicate, or lay people would say, that could certainly indicate criminal activity.
Once we recovered the card, it was secured and processed properly to where it can be examined as far as going into a criminal matter at a later time if it's so needed.
How does the United Cajun Navy fit into MNPD's command structure?
We pretty much allow our people with the emergency contingency section and USAR to coordinate with them because, we do cold case investigations. We don't handle that part. So our job is typically to get them in touch with them and let them coordinate between the two because they have the knowledge and expertise and they know how to communicate with one another and schedule with each other what they're going to do, how they're going to do it. It would be kind of a moot point for us to step in the middle of that other than to act as a liaison to get them in contact with one another.
Which two entities? You said get them in touch with them.
With one part of our department that handles like the urban search and rescue and the boat searches and everything, we get that unit in contact with Mr. Flag.
So they're coordinating their efforts.
That's what we plan because our resources are coming back out this afternoon, and that's kind of our goal is with Mr. Flag here today is get him in touch with the supervisors over in that unit so they can make that coordination.
And then at what point would your office decide to no longer continue the investigation?
Until we have no other actionable leads, but because we work cold case, we continue working it until we just have nothing. And as new information comes in, we continue to pick it right back up and go right back to it. This is not going away. This is not going away anytime soon. And I have detectives that work cold case homicides that are decades old, and we continue to work on those. In fact, one of my detectives has been able to close 2 of them last year. So I say that to say this isn't going away. We keep going until we have absolutely nothing, no new tips, no traces of anything to follow up on. But until that happens, we're still going to be out here doing everything.
How would you describe the actionable leads in front of MNPD right now?
In what regard?
You said we're going to keep going until we have no action.
Meaning,
So
if somebody calls in with a theory, okay, that's one thing. But unless they're giving us information like a name, a location where they saw a suspicious person, thought they saw a piece of an item that belonged to Riley, that doesn't help us. So we have to filter through to look for the things they're saying. Hey, around this time I saw John Doe at this location. He might have been wearing a similar shirt, or maybe he was talking to Riley. That's actionable. That's something we can follow up on. We can look for video cameras in the area. But when they just say, I just saw a homeless guy in the area, that doesn't help us because that's nothing we can follow up on. Does that help?
So enough of those actionable leads are still coming in right
Yes,
now?
sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir. And actually, that's why we were late coming up here is because we've been following up on more of those.
When we last heard from you guys on Thursday, you were still waiting on cell phone and Apple Watch data. Have you received all of that at this point? And if you have, what have you been able to find from it?
At this point right now, what we have originally from Apple is what we're working off of, and all of the location data is what we've already released. So at this point in time, that's the same information we're going to be working off of.
I have a simple question. On the video that I saw, a lot of people were around, and they could have done something to help this young man stop getting out drunk. And maybe we should push to Nashville that if you see that happening, don't be afraid to help somebody. I mean, literally, on that video, I saw a lot of people that saw how drunk that guy. It could have been stopped. Somebody could have said, hey man, you need some help. Are you okay? Especially once you see somebody falling.
You know, you're 100% correct.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that is the state of our society
I know everybody's
today.
scared to help somebody.
And
especially
I agree with you 100%. You know, Nashville population, if you see something, say something or do something.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Because I watched that and I'm like, nobody did anything to say, hey man, this guy shouldn't even be out walking around.
Right,
You know?
right.
So,
Any other questions?
God bless you guys.
Could you
All right.
guys say your name and spell it one more time in your title?
I'm Detective Anthony Chandler, Chandler.
I'm Sergeant Robert Nielsen, Nielsen.
And you're with?
Metro Nashville Police Department, cold case unit. You had a question, sir?
Yeah, could you all just go over again what it is that's making you say that there's no sign of foul play, even this not being a criminal investigation at this time? Is it a lack of evidence to the contrary, or do you have other information that suggests that?
Well, right now, it's a lack of any evidence of a crime being committed. A lot of people have come up to us with various items claiming that it's indicative of it. And please understand, as a supervisor, I've been working homicides for 10 years. He's been working for a long time as a detective. And we're skilled in criminal investigations. What, evidence can be different possibilities, whether physical evidence, whether it's digital evidence or whatever. And if we don't have anything like we don't at this point that indicates that there's any indication of foul play, then if we go down that rabbit hole, then we're wasting resources and time from possibly looking for him, because now we're looking for evidence of a crime. And while we're open to the possibility it could be a crime, I mean, obviously there's always that possibility, right? But we haven't seen anything. And just because his bank card was found there, just because somebody heard something, until we have more to shore that up, we can't say that a crime occurred. So as soon as we have anything, if it exists, that indicates a crime occurred, assault or whatever the case may be, we immediately follow up on that. But we have to have evidence or probable cause, and a lot of people don't understand what probable cause is, but we have to have probable cause of crime to even occur. So that's why it's easy to jump to those conclusions, but that's where we have to tell people, this is why we don't do things at an accelerated rate. We have to do things methodically, like Mr. Flagg and his team, they do methodical searches, right? Our urban search and rescue, they do methodical searches, because if we just jump to conclusions every single time, we could actually miss more evidence, whether there was a crime or not, but still evidence of where he'd been or what happened to him. If we're just running all over the place going, oh, what crime happened, but now we're not looking over here anymore. Does that make sense? Does that help?
Yes. Has there been any other evidence connected to Mr. Strange since Sunday?
Not that I'm aware.
In which regard?
As far as physical evidence, is that the only?
No, outside the debit card,
sir.
that's the only physical evidence we have right now.
Oh, and somebody did find a phone, but I just want to put out there, it is not a phone that he had. He had an Apple phone. This was a Google Android phone. So I know that that's been a question that's come up as well. I just want to go ahead and clarify that.
Sorry, you said someone found a phone.
Yes, ma'am. They found it in the vicinity. They brought it to us immediately while we were out there Sunday. We did collect it just because we don't know who it belongs to. Don't know if it is in relation to this case. But right now, it's not his phone. We know that because we know he had an Apple phone, Apple Watch. This was an Android device.
Do you know when the last transaction was traced back on that bank card?
They were all on Broadway.
Given that there are so many search areas now, search crews, that are now participating in this effort, are you positive? How positive are you that Riley is still in this vicinity?
Well, we're not, but we're searching everywhere. Last Friday, we got a call that they thought they saw him up towards the Titans practice field somewhere, and we went out there and looked. So we're not just limited to here, but when we have somebody go missing, you have to start with the last place they were seen. You can't be that for a fact that they were seen. You can't just go, well, I thought I saw him over here, because a lot of people think that the video cameras everywhere catches everything, and they don't. We have people claiming there's video across the river, but some of them don't reach this riverbank. So if we start searching over there, but we don't know he was over there, but we know he was on this side of the river, this is going to do us more good, because that's going to allow the people that are trained in doing searches to have a starting point and have more tangible things to look at, as opposed to just going around and speculating which areas he could be. Obviously, if we have something that leads us further down, we will. But right now, that's why the areas that they're focusing on is this immediate area, because we know for a fact that was his last known point of contact with anyone.
We know Riley was asked to leave the bar around 9:35. We've seen the subsequent videos, but can you give us a timeline of where he was at on Broadway or other places in the city prior to Luke Bryan's bar?
Prior to that, is he was here with his friends enjoying a night on Broadway. Our focus begins when he leaves from that location, and then he starts going up 3rd Avenue to Church Street and proceeds over the Gay Street corridor right below us, because that's where he went missing.
But there was a big question on whether or not he was overserved on Broadway. The Brian's Bar came out and said he had one drink. Were there other bars that he was at that you guys are looking into on whether or not he was overserved?
We're pulling video surveillance from every location that we're aware that he was at. As far as this time right now, like I said, our focus is on locating Riley. Anything subsequent from that will be followed up once we've concluded that part.
And unfortunately, we're going to have to kind of end it there for us. We have some follow-ups we have to do right now, but our PIO office will definitely be putting out more information as we get it. The family, we've been in contact with them and updating them as soon as we can. So appreciate your time. And if you have any other questions in the meantime for our department, please focus them to our PIO for today. Thank you. No problem. Thank you, Mr. Fly. Yes, sir.
Brian Gilbert, I'm Riley's father.
I really appreciate that.
So just real quick, I wanted to tag on to a question that was asked about the Cajun Navy's relationship with MNPD, and it's a cooperative relationship. We're not under their command. They're not under our command. However, we do defer to them first. We don't take any significant actions without checking with Detective Chandler first. Got 2 young ladies here who have been doing some extensive searching. These are the young ladies that found Riley's debit card. We're not going to use names. We're going to just let them be anonymous. But they have some suggestions and some information for other potential searchers.
I guess hi. I guess the most important thing that we want to make sure everybody knows when you are joining us to search is I have layers under these jeans. I have boots. We have masks because when you are moving stuff, there is stuff flying everywhere. You have to have gloves with grips. There will be rocks falling. So you have to be very careful. If you want to wear a helmet, that's something we really might suggest. We haven't done it. It's very difficult to go down this embankment, but it's extremely possible, especially if you're able. You're just going to have to be very careful with your footing. And we really, really recommend gripped gloves because we've been using that to grab onto branches to either bring ourselves back up or to move around. Once you get down there, you are going to be walking across the river on rocks, and they are wobbly. And as we said, there's other rocks that will be falling down. Be very, very careful and do not go alone. I did not go until she came with me because we knew that it would be very dangerous if something happened. Nobody would be able to find me then. It's very, very hard to actually hear each other down there too. Even if we're just like 15, 20 feet away, I can yell to her and it's hard to hear. I guess if you guys have any questions, I can answer it, but that's about all I have to say at the moment. Perfect.
Thank you, ladies.
Yes.
All right, that's, I think, pretty much all we have, unless there are other questions. Okay, once again, yes, sir.
Do you know, for the volunteer purposes, how much of the area has been grid searched? Grid searched by law enforcement from the standpoint of where the ID was found, so maybe everybody's not duplicating, going down the same embankment. Do you know if that's been done?
I don't know if MNPD has done a grid search. To my knowledge, none of the volunteers have done that. And it's, again, going to be very, very challenging to do any kind of grid search in that terrain. We are going to try to do something that approaches a grid search, but all I can tell you is going to be is the best we can do. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
What is the best way to sign up to search for you guys?
I would go to www.unitedcajunnavy.org or send an email to info@unitedcajunnavy.org. That comes, both of those come to me. All right. Anything else? All right. Once again, I just want to thank everybody, the whole community, the online community, all the volunteer searchers that have been involved in this. You know, you folks are going to be the ones potentially that break this case open. So keep on doing what you're doing. Keep your eyes open. Keep your ears open. If you see something, say something. And again, once we figure out when we're going to do this organized search, we will let the media outlets know, and they can push that information out for us. All right? Okay. Thanks again.
All right. So that was the family's update. Um, a lot of us were very kind of fearful of what they were going to say when they did. Let me just recap that real quick, and then I'm going to go right into the live that I had already planned on doing. They started with David Flagg, who is the director of operations for the United States Cajun Navy. They're an all volunteer organization. They were contacted by Riley's family and became involved Monday, the 11th, I believe it was. They said that they have a hovercraft coming in, hopefully this afternoon. And if so, they hope to start today. If not, they will start with that hovercraft first thing in the morning. They are encouraging volunteers to contact them to search due to safety reasons. And they said make sure if you are going to go out on your own to wear sturdy shoes, heavy gloves, nitrile gloves. There's lots of needles, bodily fluids, debris, things like that out in that area. Please don't touch anything. There is no evidence indicating foul play still at this point. That can always change, but as of now, there's no evidence. They're asking for the public to please think before posting about the investigation, law enforcement, family, friends, things like that. As usual, it's just kind of courtesy. Would you want to see that if you were the family member? Um, Again, their website is unitedcajunnavy.org. You can also message them on Facebook or email at info@unitedcajunnavy.org. Law enforcement did speak. They didn't add a whole lot to it. They were from cold case investigations. Do they Nashville not have a missing persons team or something? I don't know. Um, he said there's been nothing to change it to a criminal investigation at this time. They have another boat going back in the water this afternoon, as well as a ground search team. So that was basically what they had to say. And let me share this real quick. All right. So, just a very, very brief recap of this case. And then I have some other information. All the information I have, I've collected from the various news sources, the family interviews. I don't typically put rumor and stuff like that in my videos. So, these are the facts as we know them as of right now. Riley Strain is 22 years old. He was last seen Friday, March 8th at approximately 10, it says 10, but that's changed as well, in downtown Nashville. He was seen wearing brown square toe boots, blue jeans, and a black and white short sleeve button up shirt, as seen in the picture. The backside of that shirt is solid black. His height is wrong. Riley is 6'7", about 165 pounds, with blonde hair and brown eyes. Everybody pretty much knows how this went down. He got kicked out of Luke Bryan's bar. He was set to graduate this May. He is set to graduate this May, and he already had a job lined up for a career in investment. Riley did also talk to his mom about an hour and a half to 2 hours prior to going missing. So at about 9:35 p.m. on Friday, Riley was asked to leave the bar for being too intoxicated after being there for about an hour and 45 minutes. He then tried to go into another bar and was declined entry. So basically, they let him out the side door. And in their statement, it says the front door Broadway. Riley's family says it was a side door, and that leads directly into another bar right next door. Um, he was declined entry at that bar, and they had also gone to two other bars before they even went into Luke Bryan's. So, the family is not blind at all. They've said, there most likely was pre-partying happening on the bus, the drive down there. They did have the two bars before, so they've been drinking for quite some time. At about 9:47, Riley was seen on camera walking across First Avenue North to Gay Street. 9:52, according to his family, surveillance video that police reviewed reportedly showed him walking north on Gay Street in between the Woodland Street Bridge and the James Robertson Parkway Bridge. Now, that is the video footage that law enforcement just released, I think it was yesterday. And we'll go over that in a minute. Then between 9:52 to 10 o'clock, an officer encountered Riley at 9:52 p.m. At 9:53 p.m., his Life 360 app last pinged. And then between 9:55 and 10, his phone pinged. And his family says 50 to 100 foot south of the James Robertson Parkway Bridge. So the James Robertson was the second further bridge. The last text was with his girlfriend during this time. And then the next day, the fraternity brothers did call 911. They had apparently tried to get in contact with law enforcement the night before. They'd gone to like a substation or maybe a holding station, something like that. It wasn't open. But anyway, at 1:46 on Saturday, they did call. So Nashville Metro PD released the video of the officer's body cam that interacted briefly with Riley. That happened yesterday. Riley does carry a Michael Kors billfold. So he does have a Michael Kors billfold. A lot of us had speculated that maybe he had gone to go to the restroom or something and it fell out of his pocket or something like that. Family says no. He does carry everything in this billfold. There was no hard fall detection from his iPhone or his watch. So no hard fall detection. His watch was only Bluetooth to his phone. Location was not enabled. Snapchat was around the same time as the last phone pings, and his phone has been turned off ever since. They said the batteries did not die. The phone has been turned off. There have been no activity on his bank accounts since he paid his tab at the bar. They did confirm that that was indeed Riley's credit card that was found on Sunday on the embankment between the Gage Street and the river, the same area that hundreds had been searching for the previous 8 days. The family did ask. Now, if you just watched all of that briefing they just did, the family has asked the police department to bring in TBI, which is Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. They also contacted the FBI personally. The officer that encountered Riley was in the area for about 45 minutes. They had a call because somebody breaking into vehicles or a vehicle to that effect. And so officers were in that area. There is that extensive footage most of you have probably seen that is past that bridge area where you kind of see somebody running on the sidewalk. Well, if you watch that, you can see there's two cop cars that go by. There's also two other police officers on foot, a male and a female on foot. So there was quite a bit of law enforcement in the area at the time that he just vanished. Riley was in a fairly new relationship and she had texted him. They had been texting a little bit. In fact, I guess he had told her how much he loves his mom, things like that. He responded, good LOPS. My thinking is good LOL. I mean, I don't read too much into that, but I know a lot of people have. I just, good LOL. She received the text either right before he encountered that police officer or right after. Law enforcement never brought up the text to their family, which was strange. The family is, like, why didn't they say anything? They only found out because they spoke with her and she told them about it. So law enforcement didn't even tell them that. This past Friday, March 15th, the family requested to meet with law enforcement to see all the evidence they have. They said that, they hadn't really heard from law enforcement that whole week. And what they knew was pretty much what the rest of us knew and what we had seen. So they had to request a meeting with law enforcement. That meeting didn't happen until Sunday after the ladies found Riley's debit card. Weird. So after the ladies found Riley's debit card, then law enforcement called them, they met, and they were shown additional footage. They were also shown additional footage inside of the bar. And we'll get to that in a minute. That's not something that we'll be privy to for whatever reason.
Like I said, I can criticize the police. I agree that you guys just have to keep your heads up and work with them. But Ryan, I will also say this, to have TikTokers who volunteered to look for Riley, find that bank card in what looked like a homeless mess of discarded clothing and junk on the riverbed, made me really angry because I feel like it was right in the vicinity where Riley's phone pinged and that there should have been a grid search done. This was found days and days after perhaps it should have been. Ryan, are they saying anything about that card and about the fact that it was TikTokers, not the police, that found it?
No, there hadn't necessarily been anything said about that. One would assume that since it was found in the vicinity of his last known whereabouts, that should have been canvassed pretty good. I think it just shines lights on.
I, along with everybody else, do find it very strange that that card is so clean. I mean, there's no debris, there's no dirt, there's no mud. It had rained. So it was not raining the night that he went missing. It has rained since then. So you definitely, especially in that area where they found it, you'd expect mud or something. And they said it was clean, just a few leaves on it, and that was it. You're so welcome, Twisted Taurus. Thank you for being here. I appreciate all of you guys being here.
Shines light on the B- job that the police force may be doing and following through. And
Like I said, I can criticize the police. I agree that you guys just have to keep your heads up and work with them.
I don't know why it's cutting out like that. Give me a minute here. All right. Well, basically, what they're saying in this video is that um, they're not happy with the police department. They're not happy at all. They really feel like the FBI or TBI,
to look for
others
Riley,
should be involved.
find that bank card in what looked like a homeless mess of discarded clothing and junk on the riverbed made me really angry, because I feel like it was right in the vicinity where Riley's phone pinged, and that there should have been a grid search done. This was found days and days after perhaps it should have been. Ryan, are they saying anything about that card and about the fact that it was TikTokers, not the police, that found it?
No, there hadn't necessarily been anything said about that. One would assume that since it was found in the vicinity of his last known whereabouts, that should have been canvassed pretty good. I think it just shines light on the B- job that the police force may be doing and following through and being detailed on this case. I know they're overwhelmed, but it was at the location,
It's maddening. It's absolutely maddening that a member of the public who just wanted to help was able to find a critical piece of evidence that had the police done a grid search in that exact same area, might very well have seen it too. For instance, they're a lot more trained at searching than, say, a TikToker. But Michelle, it came to our attention today that Riley had been on the phone with, I think, either a girlfriend or somebody he had maybe started seeing. I'm not sure. Maybe you can characterize the relationship. And I think she asked him that night, "Are you having fun?" And the only text that she got back said something like, "Good lops," LOPS. And she couldn't understand what that meant. Can you shed some light on that communication, when it happened, what the circumstances were, and what happened afterwards?
I'm not able to. I don't know the communication that happened between him and her. I'm not sure which. He's got several friends that are female, male. I mean, I don't know who that individual was that he talked to at that time.
Thank you for.
Yeah, you'd think, like you said, the video, that the officer was so close, which just adds to the mystery. I want to ask you real quick, Chris, do you know much about Riley's final communications? Have you had any access to his text messages or who he was talking to last?
We did. People, we've been trying to explain how much of a family-oriented Riley was. Riley actually talked to his mom an hour and a half, 2 hours before this incident. He's one of those kids that still loves his family just like ours did. That's why we love this kid. He was seeing a young lady that there was a recently new relationship, and she is literally the last person that we know that had any communication with Riley from the family. She texted him to see how he was doing, if he was having fun. He sent kind of a scripted text back to her saying good lops, slops, or something like that. She said she even had to Google it. She didn't understand what that slang was. She thought maybe it was something new they picked up in Nashville. It was not new slang.
Wait, say that again.
Riley
what was it? I missed it. What did he text? Can you say it again? I didn't understand.
He actually, he texted her back. Instead of saying good time, he said good lops, like LOPS.
Good lops.
And which we were all confused. We're like, wow, what is that? And that just kind of shows the state of mind that he was in at that time. This is all within a 10-minute window of what you just seen.
So I clipped both of those clips together because when I first watched the one of the mom, she seemed so hesitant to say who he had been texting. I mean, it felt like that to me anyway. And then I watched the other interview here with Brian Enton, and this guy kind of did the same thing, but I believe and he does talk about that at another point, but they're really just trying to protect these young people. They're trying to protect those friends of Riley's, this new girlfriend. They don't want people reaching out and harassing them and doing the crazy crap that, so many on social media do. And I think that's why mom was hesitant to say, but it was indeed the girlfriend. And she is the last one that did have any contact with Riley. So on March 18th, Ashley Banfield told the family that the lady she had spoken with, that the lady that works with the homeless population there, that claims that she had seen a homeless person wearing Riley's shirt. Now, Ashley Banfield says she has still not even been questioned, even as of yesterday. So Ashley Banfield and her team, they've checked back with the lady that works with the homeless population, and as of yesterday, law enforcement still had not reached out to interview the lady, ask any kind of questions or anything. And the family said they are aware of the claim, but say that law enforcement has not mentioned anything about it to them. So I can definitely understand how the families in these cases, they feel so lost. They feel out of control of the situation. They aren't provided all the details that we feel like we need to be provided. So someone had a theory about the LOP thing. Yeah, I heard that too. Could have possibly meant low on power. But his phone did not die. It was turned off, according to the family. So I think I think he meant to put LOL, and he was just drunk. And if any of you guys have drunk text, sometimes the words don't come out the way we're trying to type them. The family also told Ashley that they have heard multiple people say that they've tried to call Crime Stoppers with tips. And those people that tried to call were told that they don't know anything about the Riley Strain case. And Crime Stoppers is who they've asked you to call tips to. So, another reason why they're a little upset. There has been no verification of clothes found anywhere. The family said no signs of vomiting in the area. So, I think that the whole somebody else wearing his shirt has been very much disregarded. I don't think that they feel like that is valid. The family says that when they called law enforcement about the card being found on Sunday, that the area where the card was found was never taped off. They took the card from the girls. Police did. They got their statement and then they left. They left without further searching the area, without taping it off. The water at that area was only about 3 to 4 foot deep, and there was not a bad current at all. In fact, they said, I think it's his cousin Chelsea said that she went down to that area, and it is it's almost still. So the water right there is almost still until you get further out, and then it is a pretty bad current. Again, his phone battery was not dead. It was turned off. He had an iPhone 15 Pro Max. That phone can tolerate submersion in water up to 59 feet for up to 30 minutes. It's not technically waterproof, but it's highly water resistant, according to Apple. So I got that information from Apple. Yeah, the area definitely should have been blocked off. You would think everybody's in there trampling, and then after they found the card, then, people kinda swarmed that area, see what more they could find, and, that's great people are looking and they're searching, but on the other hand, a lot of people don't know what they're doing, and, if there was something truly important there, they could really mess things up. Another thing is, SF Investigates on X. I don't know if you have heard of him or not. He's a private investigator. He is not the private investigator on this case, but he is working with the family. Um, he found Marathon Oil is across the street, or across the river, and they have a big tower with CCTV. So SF Investigates reached out to Marathon Oil. They were going to take a look at the cameras, things like that. The family said law enforcement did not reach out to Marathon Oil for any kind of footage until today. 11 days later, they still don't have that footage because law enforcement never asked for it. Another thing they said is that he almost always wears BKE, the Buckle brand jeans, almost always. So those almost always have a designer type pocket. So if anybody is searching and you come across anything similar, this is what most all of them look like, just different colors. Some got tears in them, you know. The family does not believe that Riley is in the water. The Cajun Navy and others have been looking nonstop with bottom and side sonar. They said that they have gone approximately 14 miles down the river side to side. So they really have searched quite a length of that strip of the Cumberland River. They said that the homeless are being extremely helpful, and that there's a lot of questions that still need answered at Luke Bryan's bar. Although the bar has been cooperative with law enforcement, they feel there's still a lot of questions that they need answers to. So we don't know what that is. They don't say, and we didn't see the video that they saw inside. So again, this is just the path that he took. Down here's Luke Bryan's. I believe it might have been Old Red. Old Red is right next door to Luke Bryan's. That might have been the other bar that he tried to go into and was denied entry. He took 3rd Avenue North up to Church Street. And then from Church, he went down and he turned onto Gay Road. And there's a path that goes all along the side of the road. And but you come across the first bridge, and then there's a second bridge there. So this is the first footage at 9:45 when he was on 3rd Avenue and Church Street. This is where people have thought he was being chased. The family said they saw it, and there was actually something else going on back behind. Somebody was wearing a black like mask. Maybe he thought they were chasing him. There's no real explanation given to us why he was running in this part of the footage. Yeah, he definitely hit his head pretty hard. But we can't really tell if it like, did he hit that pole or not? Although had he had any kind of blood or anything on him, that would have been seen by multiple people that claim to have seen him, including the police officer. Nobody says anything about seeing blood on him. And in this video, this is where he's almost having to cling to that wall to even walk down the road. This is at Church Street. So after this is where he will go on to Gay Road. Yeah, he really looked like he kind of got knocked a little bit, wind knocked out of him for sure. He's just really hugging that wall hard. Amnesia would be probably the best outcome. Um, however, you would think at some point with amnesia, he would end up in a hospital or something. And, all of the hospitals have been checked, jails have all been checked. And there's the fact that he texted with his girlfriend for about 10 minutes, actually. He spoke with that law enforcement officer. He seemed very, totally fine at that point. So this is underneath the bridge that he would have walked past. It's also the area that his card was found in. And you can see just how much like debris and, what that area looks like. So these pictures are where his card was found. And you can see the drop down to the river there. So, it wasn't like it was just a steep cliff where he would have fallen over and gone straight into the water. You would expect to find something, some other type of evidence right there, in that area other than just this really clean debit card that he was carrying. Now, this is a statement that the family put out. And I think it's important because it does clear up, or they attempt to clear up a lot of the rumors and speculation. I believe this was yesterday when they made this statement, but it just says what we know today on the missing of Riley Strain. The police took the family to view the recently released police video and some more videos Sunday afternoon after leaving the scene of the debit card find. What was viewed was the footage from inside and outside the bar, all the way to the police body cam footage that was released today. So they've had all those businesses along that area have voluntarily given, the footage they have. So the family has seen footage the entire way, all the way up until the time he speaks, with the police officer. Several businesses did volunteer footage without being asked to help fill in those pieces. And they said, we now have a larger visual timeline to go with the digital tracking one they have of Riley's journey. So let's cover a few things. Riley was escorted down the stairs with a fraternity brother. And that fraternity brother did go back into the bar once Riley was outside. Riley was asked to leave not because of a fight or any type of altercation between any visitors at the bar, male or female. And then he says that is as much as I can give on that. Now, I was watching another creator earlier and he said that there was basically a miscommunication inside the bar. And that was as much as was said. Riley tried to go, and they said across the street, but it's actually right next door to another bar. He was declined entry. He then started his journey. The food truck video, where people are thinking that he was in an altercation, that very first video we see, the one where he's running, they said that is not a viable lead. There was an altercation in that intersection, but it was with two other individuals. So keep in mind, they have seen footage from businesses, closer to that area than what the public has seen. So it was indeed an altercation, but it was with another couple. It's not a viable lead. And that's why they think Riley went around the back of the food truck and was running. The running still doesn't make any sense to me, but one of the individuals in the altercation went running behind the food truck when they got freed up. And I think Riley thought they may be chasing him due to his current condition in the videos. Now that's true. Maybe he did think something, like that. He said if you look in the upper corner towards the fire truck coming, you can barely see someone running down the sidewalk away from the truck. This info was confirmed by family from viewing the food truck personal videos. So more footage that we have not seen. They have seen video from the food truck. The last and most recent part of the puzzle is the police video. The officer had no reason to stop Riley, unfortunately. They said Riley was Riley when he passed the officer. Personality wise, he was very polite, kept his distance. But then Chris says he's got questions. The officer was around 100 yards, give or take, from Riley's last ping on his phone, within minutes apart. If a physical altercation had occurred, and this is my questioning too, if a physical altercation had occurred, the officer, you would think, would have heard it, especially since he was already in that area looking for, people that were smashing in car windows. He didn't hear anything, nor did his cam pick up anything in the distance, even after more of the video was viewed. There have been 0 verified parts of Riley's clothes found anywhere, or signs of vomiting anywhere in the area. The debit card being found and not covered in dirt, or even being dusty, does make them a little curious. He said that card was supposed to be laying there for 8 days and only partially covered by a few leaves when it was found. They thanked the 2 young ladies that found it. He says he has more questions, as he knows we all do, but he's doing more videos. So he keeps trying to spread the word. And thank you sincerely from each and every family member. They truly appreciate everything everyone is doing. And please, let's find Riley. So that was put out yesterday.
How you doing, sir? I'm good. How are you? Good. It's over here on Gay Street, near First Avenue.
So the river is very clear. There's not like once you get out there, there's not a bunch of trees or anything, to like get snagged up on. It is pretty deep. It has a very fast flowing current. But like where his card was found, there's really no current at all. It's pretty still waters, only about 3 foot deep, maybe give or take. So I know people have said that they heard, something else in there, which is why I turned that up like I did. Let's go back here. Yeah, I don't know. I think the family truly does not think he's in the river. I think they're making it very clear they just don't think that's where he's at. And I mean, it's possible, but there's really not a whole lot out there. It's a very wide open river without, like trees and all that stuff. So I would think if he had fallen, he would have gotten hung up before he made it, all the way down there.
How you doing, sir? I'm good. How are you? Good.
And so that's about all that they gave us of that. Not much to go on, just that brief little bit there. He appears like, I mean, I know, if you're intoxicated and you come across a police officer, especially at 22 and you're trying to venture out into the world and you've got a new job, you're graduating, you don't want to get in any trouble. You definitely don't want a public intoxication, so he did what most people do, and you can quickly act like everything's okay when it's really not okay. But why didn't he ask for help or ask how to get back to the hotel? Why didn't he use his GPS on his phone to get him back to the hotel? Those are the things. And he can clearly see, I mean, if you turn around, you could see that he's walking away from that downtown area. Even in that state of mind, it's hard for me to understand how he wouldn't realize that he's completely going the wrong way. I don't know. I have questions.
A close family friend who tells me there are some concerns over this case. For example, why it took 2 days for a detective to actually be assigned to this investigation, and why it's still being considered a missing persons case as opposed to a criminal investigation, which could bring in more resources. He says he is grateful that TikTokers did find the bank card belonging to Riley Strain just down this embankment here near that wall close to the river. A day after a stunning discovery by 2 young women on TikTok.
And my stomach dropped.
Riley's bank card, found on a riverbank near where he was last seen, is now being analyzed for fingerprints.
How many people have looked at that particular scene and been on it, and it took those specific young ladies to find that card?
But Chris Dingman, a family friend working daily with Riley's
Yeah, that's
parents on
strange
any
too.
leads, tells Fox 17 News there are concerns over how Metro Police are handling the search. We sent police a list of questions, including why just today this officer body cam video.
How you doing, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Showing Riley in his last known location by the James Robertson Parkway Bridge and the river was released 9 days after it was captured. We asked why an actual detective wasn't assigned to the case until 2 days after Riley was reported missing, according to his family.
I wish something would have been done sooner. We've discussed this. The first 48 is so crucial.
There's also this surveillance video that Fox 17 News exclusively uncovered of Riley crashing into a pole, then holding his head. An employee at the shop who released the video to us saying as of 3 days later, he still hadn't been questioned by
See, that's
detectives.
crazy.
Don't shoot the messenger, but I think if we had people with badges right now that was covering this as strongly as the media has, we'd have Riley home.
After Riley's card was found yesterday, more concerns as to why the area wasn't intensely recombed by police.
My TikTokers were extremely confused why nothing was taped off.
And perhaps the most pressing question for Riley's family, why more resources haven't been brought in as police still consider this a missing persons case and not criminal.
It blows our mind that, the card that was found yesterday in the family's mind is evidence that there was a crime, yet we're being told, well, that may not be what it takes to reclassify this from a missing persons. And that is very frustrating.
The Uvalde Foundation announcing Sunday it's sending volunteers to help in the search effort, stating, quote, volunteers are focusing on the downtown Nashville area as they do not believe current searches along the Cumberland River will produce results. Metro Police not directly answering any of Fox 17 News' questions, but saying in an email, no evidence of foul play has surfaced as work continues to locate Riley Strain. On Sunday evening, Riley's parents met with some of the detective team and received a full briefing on the work being done. They were also shown available video. And Chris Dingman tells me he understands that Metro Police are dealing with staffing shortages, as are many police departments across the country. I'm Kelly Avellino for Fox 17 News, your Code Red station.
So that's just wild. I think that the family, and it does appear that law enforcement maybe at first didn't take this as seriously as they should have, and a lot of time was wasted. 10 days for or 9 days, however long it was, for the family to even find out that their son had actually had this encounter with the police officer where he acted perfectly normal. Why things like that? I don't understand why families can't at least be told those things. Why hold that back? Why not meet with them up until that point? So there's a lot of questions that still are unanswered. Thankfully, the Cajun Navy is involved. They are excellent. The ground searches, I don't know. Yeah, the water temperature it was cold. So, I mean, the temperature in Nashville that night had to be at least 40, I would think. Um, and it just being wintertime, that water is cold, cold. So that's all I have. If you guys have any questions, I just don't know what could have happened to him. I really don't. I originally, excuse me, originally I did think that maybe he had kind of, taken a tumble, gone into the river, but I think that there would be now seeing all of those rocks and the debris, there's homeless camp down there at the bottom. I just think that there would be some kind of evidence of something like that happening. Why did he not call an Uber? I don't know. Like I used to have the Uber app on my phone. I don't understand why he didn't do some of those things. Um, and intoxication obviously is going to cloud his judgment and his thinking. Maybe he got tired. He decided to sit down, take a break. Maybe he decided he was just tired. He was going to lay down and sleep this off, and something happened. I don't know. To Twisted Taurus said, I come away from this thinking he's not in the river, but I don't know. Maybe. You would have thought that the homeless people, and they said the homeless people have been super, super helpful. So you would think they would have seen something. And then go back to all those officers that were right there in that area. I know that we had the one homeless person say that he heard commotion and he hollered out, and they said, he's fine. He's just drunk. If that is true, who was that? Who was that? And then there is still that video that nags at me after the bridge, after his phone had stopped pinging. And you can clearly see somebody like jogging down that sidewalk. Um, it's not him though. So maybe it was somebody that had been involved with the vehicle incidents earlier. It's hard telling, I guess. It could be a lot of things, but that definitely nags at me. Yeah, so it's been very cold there the last couple days. This morning it was 25 degrees, so it was definitely cold when he went missing. That water would be just absolutely freezing. Anyway, all right. Well, that's all I have, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate you being here. If you haven't yet, please give the video a like, and I'd love to have you as a subscriber if you're not already one. And until next time, I think I possibly will do an Elijah Vu update, but it might just be a video. His blanket, I know it's being reported that his blanket was just found. His blanket was found early on, but it was determined, finally that it was indeed his blanket. The area that his blanket was found in has been searched extensively. So there's really just nothing new on that case. There's nothing really new on Madeline Soto either. So I don't know. Anyway, you guys go enjoy your day, and I will talk to you next time. Thank you so much. Bye bye.